So there's really four main ways to learn your scales. One is to count them out by steps. Two is to learn them by the circle of fifths. Three is to learn them based on how many sharps or flats is in the key. And the last way is just to memorize them all, which we're not going to go over because that takes a lot of brain power, and the other three ways are much easier.
Learning how music works will help any musician in every way. Speaking music.
So let's start with steps. So we usually talk about either one of two different steps, half steps and whole steps in music. And we mentioned in our sheet music section that all the music that we have the notes A sharp or B flat, B, C, C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp or E flat, E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat, and then you're back to A again. So those are all of the notes that we have, and a half step is quite simply just going from one of those notes to the next one up or down. So from a C to a C sharp, or a D to a D sharp, or a D sharp to an E. Any of these would be a half step. Now a whole step is jumping over a note. So going from C to D is a whole step because you jumped over C sharp. So C, C sharp, D, C to D would be a whole step. But since some of our notes don't have sharps in between, like E and F, if you go from a whole step from E, you're going to jump over F and go to F sharp. So you're going to go E, F sharp, whole step. Now, the steps look different on the stringed instruments and piano. So if you're learning on guitar or something, most of the time, all of your frets are set up as half steps. Or the way you place your fingers when you're learning the violin for the first time, even though it doesn't have frets, you're setting it up as half steps. And so in order to do a half step, you just go from one fret to the next one up. And in order to go from a whole step, you're going to skip over a single note. And that's really simple to see, really simple to understand. And in a lot of ways, guitar and a lot of these stringed instruments, mandolin, ukulele, all of those are easier to do some scales and stuff because of that. Now piano, because many times you have to play octaves and stuff with one hand, you don't want to stretch out that far. They've layered the notes. So you have all of our natural notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, as white notes. And then back a little bit, we have these black notes, and these are all the sharps and flats. So some of them are half steps and some of them are whole steps if you're going from the regular notes or going from the black notes. So that's something that you need to look at as being a little bit different when you're counting out steps. So if we're learning our major scale based on steps, we have a very basic formula. It goes whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. When we talk about whole steps, we have a W. When we talk about half steps, we have an H. So W, W, H, W, 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 H. You start on any note at all in your piano, in your music. You start on that note and you go from there and do a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That's going to give you a major scale. So as an example, let's look at A. With A, we would have A as our first note, and then a whole step from A would be A to B. We're going over A sharp. The next whole step would be C sharp. So from B to C sharp. So B, skip over C, C sharp. The next would be a half step, whole, half, which is C sharp to D. Then we have another whole step, D to E, to step over D sharp. Next whole step is E to F sharp, step over F, E, F, F sharp. Next we have G sharp. We go from F sharp to G sharp, so that's a whole step. And then a half step takes us back to A. So the half step is G sharp, to A. So in the end, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half gives us A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G sharp. So if you ever need to figure out what a major scale is, like a major D scale or major C or whatever, you start on that note, and you just follow that formula, and it's as easy as that.
Learn more about music theory in a simple and practical way on our website and our full music theory book. In it, we teach about the keys, the chords, transposing, modes, and the basics of sheet music. Speaking music.